morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, the good people of the tube. Hope today, hope you're feeling grand, and those around your world. Hi there, everybody. We're talking about A&Q Wednesday, everybody. Let's dive into question 1 today, Kasploshinens. I should write a dictionary. Anyway, question 1 today is, what is your opinion on Eric Clapton, and what are your thoughts on Marshall Valvestate? Eric Clapton, my opinion on Eric Clapton. I like Eric. But he's not a guitarist who's ever been on my radar, if that makes any sense. I have a radar of guitarists who influence me, if you will. Obviously, you get it's John Frusciante, Jimi Hendrix, Mike McCready, Peter Green, Rory Gallagher, Gary Moore, Dave Gilmour. People like that, they're the kind of guitarists that are kind of like always kind of on my radar. My camera is really dusty. I need to sort that out. Anyway, easily distracted, aren't I? Anyway, squirrel. Hi. So yeah, I have a radar of guitarists who influence me, who do something for me. And Eric's never really been on it. I've never been able to kind of get... It's certain things he does I like, and then certain things he does they don't connect, if that makes any sense. So... it's not the fact I dislike his playing, because I don't. I love his playing. I love his guitar. His guitar tone is ridiculous. I love his guitar sound. I remember when I was working in an old hat, we had the signature Blackie with the mid-boost circuit in it. I loved that guitar. It sounded really warm and smooth and just in generally very nice, and I really enjoyed playing that guitar. I couldn't play it for very long because it's a really strong V-neck, and they tend to cramp my hand up, which is not very pleasant. But Eric's not really on my radar. I mean, I really respect him and I really like him, and I like some of his songs and some of his music, but he's not on my radar enough for me to kind of cite him as an influence, really. I mean, there are certain things every now and again where I'm like, that sounds like Eric Clapton. And I do like this one little thing he does quite a lot, where he does this kind of it's not really a trill, but it's like a unison bend, but he kind of makes a rhythm out of it and goes dun 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 like this quickly. So I like when he does this. That's a very kind of Eric Clapton-y thing, and I really like that. And I do that every now and again. I noticed I do that every now and again. And that's, he's got an influence, definitely. But he's not a big influence on me. He's not somebody I've pursued to kind of I've never dived down the rabbit hole of Eric Clapton, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So, but yeah, I mean, I do respect him. How can you not? He really is, he's an icon for a reason, Eric Clapton is. But he's not, like I say, he's not on my radar of guitarists. He's just not. He has certain influences on me, but not as much as some of the others, if that makes any sense. He's not really on that kind of same list, so to say. You know what I mean? He's very kind of backseaty for me. But that's I respect him, and I love his guitar playing. I love his sound. I really love his voice as well. I really like Eric Clapton's singing voice, especially in the Unplugged in New York gig he did. I don't think it was actually Unplugged in New York, but it was Unplugged. The Eric Clapton Unplugged gig is, I don't know, something about his singing in that is especially amazing. Especially on Layla and Tears in Heaven and stuff like that. It's amazing. I really, really like it. That's a great gig anyway. The Unplugged gig is so cool, and it's really painful to see him doing Tears in Heaven at that gig, though, because at the end of Tears in Heaven, the camera is right on his face, and you can just see the pain in his face. It's horrific, absolutely horrific, but, it takes a lot of strength to do that. It really does, and it's impressive, and you got to respect him. You've got to respect Eric, you really have. And also, another thing that made me respect him even more was reading his autobiography. I remember reading his autobiography when I was in London. And I loved that. A great book. I recommend it to anybody. Even if you're not a fan of Eric, I would recommend his autobiography. It's a great read. Absolutely brilliant book. Really, really, really cool. But yeah, I've got nothing respect for Eric, but he's just not on my radar. But I do love his guitar playing, singing, songwriting, guitar tone. Ooh, heaven. Great sound. But yeah, he's just not really on my radar of guitarists, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes any sense. Hello, Fear. Okay, let's try and get past that, Dave. Okay, so yeah, my opinions on it, I really respect him, but like I say, he's not a guitarist who has much of an influence on me. There are bits and pieces here and there, but you know, I do love some of his songs in this and newer, but he's not got a massive influence on me. But I've got nothing but respect for him. Absolutely nothing but respect for him. He's so cool, and yeah, what a wicked life he's had as well. You know what I mean? It's been hard for him. It's not been an easy life. He hasn't had an easy life. I've got to say, it's been very difficult. I mean, if you read it, like I say, if you read his autobiography, it comes very clear, very quick that he a lot of struggles, but yeah, really cool, really cool guy. So the other part of question 1 was thoughts on Marshall Valvestates. I really love the Valvestates. I mean, I wish I didn't have to sell mine. I used to have a VS100 head, which I think is what you said you have, and I love that amp. It was actually my main backup amp for my number 1 MG when I got it. I got it for that purpose of being a backup, but then I found I like to run them both. But then I ran them both every now and again, and then I ran just one in either. But I really like the Valvestate, and it really gutted me that I had to sell it, and I really didn't want to sell it, but I had to. You know, there's certain things you've got to do. There's something I'm going to have to sell soon. Actually, no, that's not. No. That's already been. What am I about? I don't know about. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I've lost my train of thought. Where am I? Sorry, I got waylaid with something else. Anyway, so Marshall Valvestate. There we go. Totally out of the ballpark there, weren't we, Dave? You just got totally lost in thinking about that. Yeah. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that because it's just depressing. Anyway, you'll already know what I'm on about. It was gold and I liked it. Anyway, so where are we? So Marshall Valvestate. Yeah, I wish I didn't have to sell mine. I loved it. Great sounding amps. Awesome sounding amps. I really miss mine. And if one comes up for sale near me, I am going to buy it. You know, I mean, well, if I can afford it at the time, you know, if all things thingy. But Valvestates are great. You know, I don't really like the AVTs, the advanced Valvestates. I like the VS 100s more. I think the VS 100s and that series of Valvestates, I think it's like the VS 100, the VS 65, which is the combo, and then there's like a 30 and a 25. I think they're really cool. The AVTs are really good as well, but they have a weird frequency in them that I don't like. There's like a buzz to the AVTs on the distortion anyway, not on kind of like in clean they're fine, but on the AVTs in the distortion mode there's kind of like a buzz in there, and I don't know why it's there, and it really annoys me when I play it. I had an AVT half stack for a while, but I eventually sold it because of that thing. It was just dead irritating. But used to drive me to a wall. But the AVTs are great amps as well, and I love them. But the VSs, just the Valvestates, I reckon are better. You know, they've got a smoother sound, they've got a warmer sound, they've got no harsh frequencies in them either. There's no kind of like overtone buzz in them. They're all very clean and, you know, just good. Yeah, really great amps. They're loud as blooming hell as well. They're so loud. I remember my VS was absolutely monstrous when when you turned that thing up. It was amazing. It was so loud, but it sounded so good. Yeah, I really miss my VS. I love them. They are really good. And like I say, if I could get another one, I would get another one. If one came up and I could afford it, I'd get another one. Same thing with the custom KGA. I think that's what it was called. I had a custom head. Again, which I had to sell because money. At the time, I had to sell it because I needed the money, but I had to sell that, and I really missed that amp as well because that was an amazing amp. That was an amazing, really cool, unique sounding little amp, and I missed that. That was loud as hell as well. Yeah, and if one of them came up again, I'd buy one of those if I could afford to. It's ridiculous, but there are certain things I miss. My Valvestate is definitely one of them, and I say the custom KGA is definitely another one. I really wish I didn't sell the Valvestate 65R that I had in a small box flexi, should I say. I really wish I didn't sell that now. That was stupid. But again, needs must, when unfortunately that kind of thing goes. But we've all got those stories, haven't we? We've all got regrets of things we have to sell and we don't want to sell. But yeah, where are we? So yeah, Valvestates, I love them. I mean, I would recommend the VSs over the AVTs personally. I wouldn't recommend the VS over the MG, the older MGs, because I just again, personal preference. I just prefer the MGs to the VSs. Yeah, but the VS is really up there. You know what I mean? It really is up there. The AVT just kind of comes below that in the hierarchy, if you will. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think there's anything else to mention, but I mean, yeah, they are great. VSs are so good; they sound incredible. It's one of those amps as well that you could go to a gig with a VS, just the amp, and you know maybe even a channel select just to go from clean to distortion. And you could do the whole gig from the amp. You know, you'd probably miss a wah-wah pedal, but if you like wah-wahs, but I do. You know what I mean? You could probably. I would have. You know, it's one of those amps I could go to a gig with. Just no pedals, if that makes any sense. You know, I like that idea because it just fills me full of a lot more kind of gives me a lot more confidence when I play live that I know I can use my amp. Like if my pedal board dies, I'm not going to be like you know what I mean. I like to know my amp can cover me in any shape or form, and the same with my pedal board. If my amp dies, I like to know that my pedal board can cover me in any kind of given situation. You know, just because. But, again, consistency. But, yeah, the VSs are great. Absolutely stunning amplifiers. Love them to bits. You can't really go wrong with them. You really can't. When I first got my Valvestate, it was a half stack. It came with the B cab, and I had the head, a 100-watt head. I remember in about a week, the preamp valve blew, and I had to replace it. And I had no idea what I was doing about replacing a preamp valve. I didn't, you know, just... But I realised it was very simple, but I was like, I'd take it apart. Freaking me out. But it was all good learning experience, I'll tell you. Anyway, I have to say, nothing really much to say about that. I say they're just great. They're just great. They're just one of those that, like, I feel they're a bit overlooked, the Valvestates, you know. I think the AVT kind of gets a bit more credit than the VSs, and I don't really know why. I mean, the AVTs are really cool, but the Valvestates I think are better. Like I say, they just do it warmer. You know, I reckon they've just got a bit more of that kind of classic Marshall hot rodded plexi thing, you know, and plexi thing in general, really. You know, which is, to me, that's kind of like the Marshall sound, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes any sense. But yeah, they are amazing. Absolutely love the VSs. I wish I still had mine. But, like I say, we've all got stories like that. Okay, so I hope that's a question. Go away, brain. Okay, so moving on. Question 2. Question 2 is, do you think John Frusciante would ever cite Peter Green as an influence? No. But I could be wrong. I don't know, because you spoke in your email that, like, you know, there are certain things that John does that sounds like Peter Green. It's like, yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from with that. But John could have got it from somebody else, who was then influenced by somebody else, who was then influenced by Peter Green, if that makes any sense. There could be kind of like there could be many steps on that ladder of certain things that John does, sounds like Peter Green. You know, it might not come directly from the source, if that makes any sense. Like certain things, certain guitarists do, they'll cite, say... You know, for instance, like if somebody's tapping, they might say, I learned that from Steve Vai. But, you know, you can take that back to Eddie Van Halen, you know, but they didn't learn it from Eddie Van Halen, they learned it from Steve Vai. So there's multiple, I do apologise, there's multiple kind of steps, if you will, on that ladder. Crikey. So John might be indirectly influenced by Peter Green, but he might not be able to cite him as an influence because he might have got it from somewhere else, if that makes any sense. So I don't know if he would ever come out. I don't think he would ever come out and say that Peter Green was an influence on him. He might, but I don't know. Again, I don't know John, like, you know, personally, so I don't really know. And he's a bit of a complex human, is our John, so we don't really know where he is. Because one thing that always got me about John, especially towards the end of the Stadium Arcadium era and the Empyrean album, there's a lot of Robert Fripp in his playing. Especially the end of there's a song, I think it's called Enough of Me. It's the song before Central on the Empyrean. The end solo is just Robert Fripp. The tone, the tonality, the phrasing, the note choices, the weird interval jumps. It's just Robert Fripp. It sounds like Frippatronics and stuff like that. But John's never ever mentioned Robert Fripp once. But his playing is, astonishingly like his. But he's never mentioned Robert Fripp once, which is really weird. I always found was really, really, really weird because, there's so many of these things that John would do where he would kind of like go, all these kind of strange kind of intervals. These strings need cleaning. All these kind of strange kind of interval jumps, and also the use of neck pickup with loads of fuzz to make it really warm and almost violin-y, but kind of like a broken violin. Kind of weird, kind of tone. It's Robert Fripp, but John's never cited him once, which has always, weirded me out a bit, to be honest with you, because I'm like, well, that's just him. But again, maybe he's not getting it from Robert Fripp. Maybe he's getting it from somebody else who then got it from Robert Fripp. And then because John learned it from this guy, he maybe didn't look back any further than that and just kind of cited that guy. So it could have been anybody, you know what I mean? But it is, if you listen to, if you listen to Frippatronics or anything King Crimson-y, to be honest with you, and listen to Robert Fripp's way of playing, and then you go to like some of the things that John Frusciante did, like the Scar Tissue solo at Reading Festival, for instance, in 2007. You listen to that last solo of Scar Tissue. There's certain things that John's doing there that sound a lot like Robert Fripp. If Robert Fripp was to stand on an Ibanez Wawa with a DS2, that's what he would sound like. And that solo, I think it's called Enough of Me. I could be totally wrong on that, but there's a song before Central on the Empyrean album. That last solo is just Robert Fripp. It's literally like, John became, it's like, in all fairness, he could have just got him in to do that solo. It's that close to me. I feel it's that close. But like I say, it's weird. He's never cited Robert Fripp once. Does he know of him? I don't know. I mean, does he not want to mention him? Who knows? I really don't know. I mean, I say John could have learned that from somebody else, There's Adrian Belew as well. Adrian Belew is a really bizarre guitarist that, no one really cites, but there are certain elements of his playing in their playing, you know what I mean? And also things like, like I say, you get certain people's playing where they learn it from somebody, but they're not learning it from the source. It's the only way I can describe it. So, certain things that John does that sound Petery. I don't think he's. I don't doubt he knows who Peter Green is. It's hard to be a guitarist and not know who Peter Green is in a way. He comes up at some point. Same with Rory Gallagher and and people like that. But I don't know if John would ever come out and say, "Oh yeah, this is inspired by Peter Green." I don't know, because I don't feel he's getting it from Peter. I think he's getting it from somewhere else. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. It doesn't come across to me that John sits down and listens to "Got a Good Mind to Give Up Living," if that makes any sense. But I could be. Again, I don't know. I don't know him. I'm probably totally wrong. But like I say, with what I've kind of put together from John never citing Robert Fripp, but playing astonishingly like him, maybe John doesn't want to give out some influences, you know what I mean? Maybe John doesn't want to say it's Robert Fripp or Peter Green or whoever, you know what I mean? Maybe, because he cites Jimi Hendrix a lot and quite a few other guitarists here and there. But there are a lot of kind of, I don't know, you call it grey areas, I suppose you could call it grey areas in kind of like some things with John, because like I say, the Robert Fripp thing always got me as strange. As soon as I heard some of the solos, even on Stadium Arcadium, to be honest with you, there's is it the end of Animal Bar? I think there's a song on Stadium Arcadium Disc 2 called Animal Bar, and the end solo of that one is Robert Fripp as well. There's also certain solos on Stadium Arcadium that sound like Robert Fripp. Let me just try and think. It's going like mentally through. I mean, certain bits and pieces in Come On Girl are very Robert Fripp-esque. Can't think of any others. So kind of strange times as well. I mean, like Ready Made, where it kind of starts to stagger itself. I mean, they're kind of things that Robert Fripp does, you know, where he'll stagger time. But John never mentions him once. So that makes me think that, like, you know, if John does do anything like as Peter Green-esque, I don't think he's either getting it from Peter or he's getting it from somewhere else. Or, I don't know. I don't know. Like I say, trying to get into that man's mind is like trying to crack a vault. You know, it's impossible. You know, even, you know, it's really difficult. You know, you really need to. I just don't think I don't think John's an easily understandable human being. If that makes any sense, I reckon he's very difficult to understand. But would he ever cite Peter Green as influence? I wouldn't think so, but you never know. Is all I'm going to say on that one, because you do never know. And yeah, for all we know, John could listen. He could be like #1 fan, but might not want to mention it because I don't know. I don't know. Same with Robert Fripp. You know, he could absolutely adore Robert Fripp, but you know, I don't know. But I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think so though. I don't think it would. I reckon he's getting it from somewhere else. I don't think he's getting it from. I don't think he's getting it from Peter. I think he might be getting it from somebody else. Who then might be influenced by somebody else, and then influenced by Peter Green, like I said earlier on. You know, it's funny, really. It's strange how we'll cite, like, you know, I can cite Jimi Hendrix and John Frusciante as my biggest influences, but they're influenced by B.B. King and Curtis Mayfield and you know, Eddie Hazel and, you know, all these other guitarists, you know. And it's like, you know, I'm not getting, which they would have had a massive influence on them. And then indirectly, I'm getting influences from Curtis Mayfield and B.B. King and Eddie Hazel and stuff like that, because I'm learning through John and Jimmy their influences, you know, and that's how it kind of works, you know. And then also you're getting stuff like, you know, Muddy Waters, and then you're getting Howlin' Wolf, and then all of a sudden you're getting Robert Johnson, and you're getting Son House. You know, it's cool. You know, you get this kind of lineage. You know, but you're learning them kind of indirectly, you know, in a way sometimes. You know, there's certain things I've learned from John Frusciante that are just Jimi Hendrix. And then there's certain things I've learned from Jimi Hendrix which are Buddy Guy. And then there's some things that Jimi Hendrix learned from Buddy Guy that were probably from Howlin' Wolf, you know, or somebody else, you know. Some unknown blues player we never even knew about, you know what I mean? And then there's some things that Robert Johnson was learning from somebody else, you know, Son House, and then some things that Son House was learning from somebody else. You know, it's all linked, but it just depends on where you find your source, so to say. It might not be the actual source of it. Like I say, with tapping earlier on, you know, some people might learn it from Buckethead or Steve Vai, but they won't go back to Eddie Van Halen, and then from Eddie Van Halen they won't go back to other people who use tapping, you know, or, you know, or whatever, you know what I mean? It's kind of crazy, really. It's really quite, yeah. When you start kind of diving down that rabbit hole, it's quite funny of where your influences lie, because they're never quite where you expect, and your hero's influences influence you indirectly through their playing. If that makes any sense whatsoever. I don't know if that made any sense, but hopefully it did. But yeah, I could talk about it all day, but I'm going to have to move on, otherwise I'm going to run out of battery and time. But yeah, so would John Frusciante ever cite Peter Green as influence? I don't know. We'd have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what happens with interviews. If John even does interviews, you never know. Anyway, so moving on to question 3. Now, that was a bit aggressive, Dave. I do apologise. So question 3 is, have you ever had guitar lessons, or are you completely self-taught? I've never had formal guitar lessons. Yeah, I am predominantly self-taught. I mean, I've had help with my dad and my uncle who guided me when I first started playing. You know, my uncle could play guitar and he guided me kind of like, you know, like writing down kind of like chords and stuff like that. And also my sister helped me out as well, doing things here and there. But predominantly I am self-taught. I taught myself how to go up and down the neck. I taught myself scales. I taught myself how to solo and do certain things here and there and certain techniques and this, that and the other. So yeah, I am predominantly self-taught. I'm not academic. Because I'm dyslexic, I don't learn that way. You know, for me to learn, I have to find my own way and my own path. You know what I mean? And certain ways that work for others will not work for me, no matter how hard I try or whatever. And also, like, the whole classroom sitting down and learning guitar formally, and if that's the word, for, like, you know, in a class sense, it never worked for me either. When I was at college in Grimsby, I always struggled with it a bit, and when I went to London, I struggled even more. You know, it's not the way I learn. Like I said, I'm not academic. I'm massively academically challenged. You know, I never was good at school. You know, again, thing is though, when I was at school, I wasn't being dyslexic wasn't a thing that people looked for. You know, you were just classed as stupid, which is what I was classed as basically when I was at school, as being thick, basically. You know, because I couldn't tell at the time. And I had difficult with numbers and mathematics and writing, and you know, my writing is absolutely my writing is atrocious. You know, it looks like a dead spider dipped in ink, dragged across the page. And that all comes from being dyslexic and also kind of like, you know, getting muddled and confuzzled a lot. You know, so, you know, I was classed as thick, basically. I still struggle to, you know, tell the time properly because numbers jumble, you know, and letters jumble, and this is another thing, you know, coming back to the whole self-taught thing. This is the reason why I am self-taught, is because of that, really. You know, I had to find my own way that would work for me. You know, going down the academic route of getting books and reading books and this, that, and the other, and learning from Tab and learning from this, that, and the other, that just doesn't work for me. So the way I learn mainly is by sitting with a guitar and figuring it out, and also visually as well. I'm a very visual guitarist, like, you know, well, visual person in general. I learn a lot by seeing, other than kind of like reading or kind of theoretical side. If I can see it, I can understand it. So I spent hours and hours and hours of watching John Frusciante live on DVD, or Jimi Hendrix on DVD, or Rory Gallagher on DVD, or Stevie Ray Vaughan, watching their hands now. And whenever I see a guitarist, I just lock onto their hands. It's like, it's an unconscious thing for me now, is if somebody sends me a video of them playing, or I watch a video of somebody playing, or if it's another, I just lock onto their hands. I don't see anything else but their hands and the guitar neck. That's all I see. You know, I want to see what they're doing. You know what I mean? Because you can always learn something new. You know, with ways somebody does something, you might not do it that way, and it's really, really cool, and you can learn so much. And I just love watching people's hands play when they play. I really enjoy watching kind of like people like Steve Vai or Buckethead or Paul Gilbert, like the spider fingers, something like that. But then at the same time, I like watching people like Dave Gilmour or Eric Clapton, coming back to Eric, or, you know, I just like the way all these people's fingers move in a very distinctive way, and everyone's hands move in a distinctive way, and they've all got their own little patterns that they all kind of go to. You know what I mean? Everyone's got kind of like little things they kind of that fall under their fingers, so to say. You know what I mean? It's really, really cool, and I love watching people's hands, and that's how I learned a lot of stuff on the guitar, was just by watching Jimmy and John. They were the main two guys who I used to watch and just literally just look at their hands, just lock in and go, right, what's he doing? How's he doing that? Okay, so that's what that sounds like. Okay, so if I pick up my guitar and emulate that, it should sound like that. And that's how I learn. And the whole scale things of learning the neck up and down was basically just kind of me sat there with the guitar finding the notes that worked. And I've told that story like a million times. And it was just one of those things where, because of the way I am, I had to do it that way. It wouldn't have worked if I had to go down the academic route of guitar, like learning scales and doing grades and all that kind of thing. I wouldn't be playing guitar now. It would have killed the love for it a long time ago. So I won't be playing guitar now. But because I found my own little path of learning and what works for me, and I know what works and I know what doesn't work, and I know what I'm capable of and what I'm not, and I know what I want to do and what I don't. Because of all this, I was able to kind of like progress quicker and understand more quicker because of that, instead of just kind of getting wrapped up in kind of like, I've got to learn this because my guitar tutor says so, if that makes any sense, you know what I mean? Because I always feel that a guitar tutor should not be a authority figure on your guitar playing. All a guitar teacher should be, or a tutor should be, is a guide. They're the one, when you come to a fork in the road and you can go right, you can go left, they're the one standing at that junction going, you need to go left if you want to do this. But it's up to you to walk that road. They don't come with you. You know, they say, oh, you should go left. And if you take that advice or not, that's up to you. You know, you can go right if you want to. It's totally up to you at that point. But a guitar tutor to me is somebody who guides you. They don't teach you necessarily, but they guide you. They tell you kind of like, if you want to do this, you need to be going left. That road is the way to that. But if you don't want to do that and you want to do something else, then go right, and then you will keep searching. And that's what I feel a guitar tutor should be. They don't walk the path for you, they just point it out to you, if that makes any sense. So yeah, and because I am self-taught, I just preferred it. I mean, I don't like. There's so many people I know who did kind of formal guitar lessons, and they did them for like a year, and then they just stopped playing guitar. You know, because it was just boring. You know, they didn't get to do what they wanted to do with the guitar. Whereas I don't like that idea of like, you know, I wanted to learn what I wanted to learn. I knew what I wanted to sound like, and I knew what I wanted to play like, and I knew who I wanted to play like, if that makes any sense. So I just pursued that. You know, I wanted to play like Jimi Hendrix and John Frusciante. You know, and I still do to this day. You know, they are the two people I want to play like. You know, and you know that's never changed in 18 years. I as soon as I found John Frusciante, I was addicted, and then when I found Jimi Hendrix and I saw the parallels between the two, I was like, well, you know, I want to sound like both of them. You know what I mean? And then obviously, you know, there's other influences as well: Peter Green, Rory Gallagher, you know, Mike McCready. You know, but those two are the main guys for me, and so I just pursued them, and I just got all the DVDs, all the videos, all the pictures that I could of them, and just looked at what they did, and just kind of basically sat down and just figured it out, basically using my ears, because again, I can't read tab or music because I'm dyslexic, and you know, and everyone's convinced that I'm slightly autistic as well, you know. I don't know about that, but you know what I mean, because the way I am, I struggle with a lot of things that kind of puts me on that scale. You know, I'm not kind of like, you know, high on the autism scale, but people definitely, you know, my family and also my therapists and people in the past and also people all around are convinced that I'm somewhere on the spectrum of that, because I have certain issues with things. I'm not very good with kind of change, and things have to be a certain way for me. You know what I mean? Otherwise I get kind of freaked out, and I get a sensory overload thing, which is very, very kind of difficult to deal with, and you know, so I am definitely on that scale somewhere, but that's not about this. But no, because of that, I am, you know, because of all these kind of things, I am self-taught, and I found teaching myself and actually kind of going through things myself and going, okay, that works for me, I'm just going to follow that, and that's what I want anyway. That was what I did, and that's what I always recommend to people to do, really, when they're learning guitar, is it's always follow your path. Don't follow somebody else's. Just because somebody else says you need to learn Led Zeppelin songs doesn't mean you have to learn Led Zeppelin songs if you want to learn The Who or you want to learn Jimi Hendrix. You know, if you learn what you want to learn. You don't learn what somebody tells you if you don't want to do it. If they tell you to learn it and you want to learn it, then yeah, go for it. But if they say, oh, you got to learn this, and you don't want to do that, don't do it. You know, don't feel pressured to learn anything or do anything you don't want to, because it's just totally counterproductive, totally pointless. Don't do it. So, yeah, so I am self-taught. I've had really good guides along the way. My dad, my uncle, my sister. You know, I've had some amazing tutors in my life. I've had some really cool people who have really guided me. I've one tutor I've got to mention. His name was Rob, and he was my tutor at Grimsby, and he was like one of the most awesome tutors you could ever wish to have. He was amazing, and his name was Rob Harwood, and he played saxophone. It was so cool. But I remember he was one of those guys who really pushed me to step outside of my comfort zone and really pushed me and stop looking at my guitar so much. To the point where if we were rehearsing at college, he would blindfold me. He's like, right, I've had enough of you looking at your guitar. You don't need to look at your guitar. You can play the bloody thing. So he would say, right, you're going to have to do the next 3 songs without being able to see. And that really made a difference. Because you learn, oh, yeah, I don't need to look at it so much. You don't have to play like this, looking down all the time. You can look up, you can get lost. And it's a really good thing. I mean, I would actually recommend that personally, to be honest with you, is learn to play blindfold. You know, just literally cut off your eyes, or just close your eyes and try and play 2 or 3 songs through, front to back. Make mistakes. You know, you will to start with. That's fine, but that's good. You learn. But it's good to kind of cut that off sometimes, you know, and don't be tied to looking. And again, I thank him for a lot. I really do, and I really appreciate, you know, he gave me a lot of confidence, and he really, you know, really helped me a lot. And I also got a friend called Dean who also gave me a load of confidence as well. I've had a lot of people in my life who I'm really grateful for, who have really kind of guided me and helped me through a lot of things, and just really kind of instilled a lot in me. You know what I mean? My friend Charlie, being another amazing example of just somebody I'm so grateful to have called a friend. You know what I mean? But yeah, so because of that stuff, I have been guided well, but I am predominantly self-taught. You know, I put the hours in because I wanted to play the guitar. You know what I mean? I never ever kind of went, oh, I can't be bothered. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Well, I have said I don't want to do that to certain things, but you know what I mean? Like to things I want to learn, I've never done that. I'm like, right, I'm going to pursue this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it again until I can actually do this. You know, I don't give up easy on the guitar, and I have never given up on certain things I want to learn. You know, I'm always like, right, how can I make this better? How can I do this, and where can I go from there, and where can I incorporate that and this that, and the other. It's all about pushing yourself, but within your means, because everyone has their limitations. You know, you can't learn everything. It's impossible. You know, no one can learn everything. It's impossible. You just can't. You learn what you want to learn, and you go from there. So yeah, I've never had any formal guitar lessons. No. I never wanted formal guitar lessons. I just wanted to play the guitar, and I knew, you know, from day one, I knew what I wanted to do. Really, I knew how I wanted to play, and when I found John Frusciante, it became even clearer, you know, how I wanted to play. And then Jimi Hendrix came along and just cemented it, you know, absolutely sealed the deal for me. So I wasn't interested in anything after that. You know what I mean? I knew where I wanted to be, and you know, it is slightly tunnel visioned and it is slightly closed minded, but that's what I wanted. So to me, it's not tunnel vision, because that's all I want. You know what I mean? It's like, I did learn sweep picking. I learned 8-finger tapping. I learned gypsy jazz and Django Reinhardt and jazz and all sorts of other stuff. And I just it didn't stick. It didn't work for me. So I was just like, well, I'm just going to go back to what I love. And I'm just going to play. And I was just like, I'm just going to play how I want to play. And I think that's important for anyone to do. It's like, you know, don't get bogged down with kind of like, you know, oh, but they can play faster than me. It doesn't mean anything. Oh, they can do this more than me. It doesn't mean anything. If you're happy with what you do and you play the way you play, that's all that matters. As long as you're happy and you play how you want and you sound the way you want and you're pursuing what you want, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what other people are doing. They're walking their path. You walk yours. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm going to move on because the battery's going to die. So anyway, I could talk about it all day. Anyway, moving on to final question 8. Question 4, which I'm going to be fairly quick about because I'm rapidly running out of battery. That's not good. I didn't charge the camera enough. Silly Dave! Okay, so final question 8. Question 4 is... take a breath. Do you prefer to play with singers on their own, or do you prefer a singer that can play guitar? I am not bothered either way. If they're a good singer and they inspire me and make me feel what they're singing, then that's all that matters. They don't have to play an instrument. If they're a good singer, that's what I'm there for. If they're a really good singer but they can't play an instrument and they wanted me to play guitar, then that's what I'm there for. If that makes any sense, But I've got to feel it. I've got to feel they're honest and they're passionate and they mean it. If that makes any sense, because I have played with some singers in the past where I'm like, you're not in this. I'm not feeling anything from you. You're doing this. I don't know why you're doing this kind of thing, and I can't get a handle on certain people sometimes. It's a whole thing of you've got to be honest of why you're doing things. You've always got to be honest about why and what you're doing. There's no point lying about why you're doing it. You've got to be honest about it. And you've got to do it for the right reasons. You can't be doing it for kind of just because you want to be, hey, look at me kind of thing. I always feel that's a totally wrong reason. I don't like the idea of people kind of learning to sing and play guitar or any musical instrument or just doing that thing because it's an ego trip. I don't like that. That's totally the wrong reason to learn an instrument or learn to do anything creative like that. It's not about, hey, look at me. It's about expression, and it's about sharing emotions and helping people through these emotions. You know what I mean? It's not about, hey, look, I didn't know if you noticed how amazing I am. I hate that. I can't stand that. It's it's just like, ugh. And I've met so many people like that. And it's just like, no, don't want anything to do with you. If your ego is driving your want to be better, no, that's not the right way to put it. If your ego is the only reason you want to be this, that, or the other, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? Don't, it's like, it just feels weird to me. I just don't like it. It's just so false. It's not real. And I've played alongside people where I'm like, you don't mean this. You don't mean it. And you've got to mean it. You know what I mean? If your heart's not in it, people will notice, especially other musicians. You've got to mean everything you do, and you've got to mean every note you play, and you've got to mean every word you sing, write, and you've got to mean everything you do in life in general, not just in music. There is no point just half-arsing it just because you want to be famous or revered or whatever. You know what I mean? You're doing it for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? It's being famous, man. It's so. I hate that thing of I started playing guitar because I wanted to be famous. You're doing it for the wrong reasons. I did it to do this, that, and the other. And it's you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Your reasoning should be because you love music and you want to express yourself, and there's no kind of massive ego involved in it of I want to be on stage because I want people to look at me and think I'm amazing. No. Just stop. That isn't cool. That is not the way to be. I can't stand that mindset. It drives me mad. It's I don't play guitar because I want people to look at me and go, oh, isn't he amazing? I want people to when I play guitar, I want people to feel what I'm trying to say. And in so doing, hopefully make them feel either better or less alone or this, that, and the other. I want to help, which is what music does for me. It helps. Music has always helped me, through things. The guitar has always helped me through things. And and what I want to do is just share that love I have for this and music, and just be as brutally honest with it as I can. So if I'm feeling angry, my guitar sounds angry. If I'm feeling sad, it sounds sad. If I feel happy, it sounds happy. That's the way to be. And I'm not doing it for any other reason other than that. And I feel that's the way it should be. I don't like the idea of hey, look at me. In all fairness, I've said this before, and I'll say it all the time. I wish I I wish I'd always worn a mask. Because it's not about. This is what always grinds my gears about people saying I get troll comments about the way I look. It's not about how I look or the fact my hair's falling out or the fact that I'm ugly or the fact that I wear ripped and battered and beaten clothes or this, that and the other, or I wear the same clothes loads of times over and over and over again. It's not about that. It's about the music. It's more important than what I look like or who I am. It's above me and it's above everyone. And it's there for everyone. And if you can't get past the visual of it, then you're looking in the wrong place. You know what I mean? That's how I feel anyway. It's not relevant to anybody else but me, but you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't matter what somebody looks like. It's about what the passion and love they have for something. And if you feel that and you see that, that's everything. It's like, there's some amazing guitarists out there, who are so passionate and love it, but they get looked down on because they look a certain way or they do a certain thing or they have a certain quirk about them. And it's just like, no, listen to what they're doing. That they're putting everything into that, and that's the most important thing. And that's the way I've always seen it. Is like, it doesn't matter what this looks like, this creature here. It matters of what I'm trying to get across. And if I'm not getting across what I'm trying to say, then I'm doing it wrong and I'm not good enough yet. And like I say, I've always wanted to just play and for people to feel it instead of just kind of like play just for the sake of playing. I don't want to play for the sake of playing. I want to play so people can feel what I'm playing. And I don't want people to be like watching the crowd going, "Oh, it's really, really cool that." I want people to come with me, on a trip. If I'm doing a guitar solo or a song or whatever, I want people to be with me. I don't want people to be just watching me. I want people to just kind of get lost and go. And that is my ultimate goal with guitar playing. Really, is to be able to take people on a journey with my guitar playing. It's not about, hey, look at me and how amazing I am and this and that nonsense. None of that crap. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in kind of, how can I help you feel better if you're not, or how can I make you feel better than you already do, or how can I make you feel less alone, or how can I make you feel there's hope, or whatever. How can I help through my guitar? And how can I, be more honest with myself through guitar and music, and this, that, and the other, and approach subjects and certain things through guitar and music that I wouldn't necessarily be able to do, but yeah, sorry, I've totally lost. I just looked at the question again. I totally lost it there, but yeah, Tangent Boy is here. Okay, so but yeah, so yeah, but that is it really. It's like I don't agree with people who do it just because, I want people to look at me like in awe. It's like, no, I don't. That's not submitting to music. That's submitting to ego. And you're supposed to submit to music. It'll guide you. You turn yourself off. Music knows what it wants to do with you. You're just a marionette. Just let it flow. So you don't have to think about any of that ego nonsense, because it's not about that. It's like, I don't, and like I say, it gets me really wound up sometimes when I get like troll comments about like, oh, the way he looks. It's like, yeah, this channel's not about the way I look. It's not about the way I speak or sound or what I wear. It's about music and about guitar and how much I love it and how much we love it. It's not about this thing. It's about this thing and what it does. I don't like when it kind of gets distracted by that stupid thing and shallow nonsense of what you look like. I don't care what people look like. It's about what they have internally that they can give to the world, and to people, and just kind of put out. And that's what matters. It's not about kind of like, oh, you don't look right. Oh, shut up. Oh, you're not very good looking. I don't care. Oh, you're going bald. I know. It's... How many times have I had that? It's like, I'm going bald. I know that. I have to look at myself in the mirror every day. It's so, silly comments of like not thought out silliness. It's so stupid. But you've got to do things for the right reasons. You've got to do it because you love it and you're passionate about it and you mean it. You can't do things just because, oh, this might give me a bit of attention. That's ego, man. That's not the way to do things. You do it because you love it. I don't play guitar just on video. I play guitar because I love the guitar. I love music, and it's my thing. And the way I play off camera is the way I play on camera. And the way I am off camera is the way I am on camera. I am, this is me. And that's, and that's the way I feel it should be. You know, you can't, if you're around, if you're a square peg, you can't fit yourself into a round hole. I've tried this kind of thing, it doesn't work. Walk your path. Be you. Don't be anything else. Do things for the reasons you want to do them and no other purpose. Be yourself and only yourself. And if that loses you friends, then they weren't your friends to start with. If people can't accept you for who you are, then you're better off away from them. Because they will do nothing but drag you down. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, not healthy. People who respect and honour you for what you are people you want around you. You know, you do not want people around you who go, oh, you don't look right, or this, or you're ugly, or you're this, that, and the other, who put you down, or this, that, and the other. You don't want that. You want to be around people who respect you and honour you for who you are and what you are, not for who they want you to be, because you don't fit to their world mould. You know what I mean? I hate that. And there's far too much of that in this day and age of you have to look a certain way and you have to behave a certain way and you've got to do this and that and the other just because that's the chosen order. I'd rather go against that. If that's the chosen order, I'm going that way. You know what I mean? If that's over there, I'm going to be a million miles in that direction because I don't want to be near that. Because it's false and it's fake. And it's not real. You've got to be real. You've got to be honest. You've got to be real. You've got to be brutal with yourself. And you've got to be just open as much as possible. And you tell people you care for them. You tell people you love them. And you tell people you don't like them. Or you stay away from people you don't like. Or this, that, and the other. You've got to be honest. Because there's no point otherwise. You know, because you can just land yourself in hot water. And, you know, do I prefer singers on their own or do they play guitar? I don't mind. As long as they make me feel something with what they do, that's all that matters. If I don't believe you, I'm not interested. But I've got to believe you, and that's the way it should always be. You've got to trust who you're talking to and who you're doing things with, and you've got to trust that they are with you. You can't have any doubt in your mind, you know, because if you have doubt in your mind that they're not 100% with you, then that's going to cause problems. You know, you've got to be 100% honest, and you've got to know that these people who you're playing with, talking to, have as friends, have your back and are with you. No ifs, no buts. Excuse me. You know what I mean? You've got to be on. You know, you've got to trust people, and like I said, you've got to feel them. You know what I mean? You can't just be kind of like square peg in a round hole. You can't be that. You know, if you're a square peg, go for the square hole. Don't try and fit yourself in a round hole because it's popular. You know what I mean? You know. Doesn't work, it just leads to pain and heartbreak, and it's just not worth it. So, anyway, people of the tube, mad answer for question 4. I do apologise, but hopefully there's something in there. I'm going to have to call it a day here because I'm running out of time. But anyway, I could talk about that all day. But yeah, please just be honest. You know, always be honest and always be you. Don't be afraid of being you and what you want to be. You know, and don't be afraid to say, you know, you love something or you're passionate about something. And don't be afraid to show it passionately as well. Don't just go all shy and timid. Let it out, man. Let it out. Don't keep it inside. Let it out. Let the world know. Scream it from the rooftops. You know what I mean? I would. I mean, I love guitars. I love them. You know, they are just my best friends. And I just get so excited about these things. You know what I mean? I absolutely adore them in every shape and form. You know, certain forms more than others, obviously, because certain ones, like, you know, don't appeal visually. But, you know, the fact of the matter is, I still love them nonetheless. You know, I love music in the same way. You know what I mean? These things give me purpose, and they make me feel that, like, I am not a total failure or mistake. You know what I mean? They give me purpose, and that's all that matters. And, you know, I have certain people in my life who give me purpose as well, and they make me feel great about myself. And everyone should have that, you know. So stay away from the toxic side and stick to the good side, is all I can say, really. So anyway, people of the tube, thank you very much for watching. If you want to submit a question for Q&A Wednesday, A&Q Wednesday, description box below has an email link. Just email me there. yeah, I'll see you again on Friday for another vid. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening, everybody. And like I say, be yourself. Do not be afraid to be yourself. If people don't like you for who you are, that's their problem. It's not yours. There's plenty of people who don't like. There's plenty of people who won't like you for who you are. But that's okay. That's their problem. If they don't like you, that's fine. There's nothing you can do about it. Don't try and mold yourself to make them like you. It's a waste of time. If they don't like you, that's their beef. You carry on doing what you do. You know what I mean? Just be who you are. Be who you are. That Kurt Cobain line, was it? Trying to be somebody else is a waste of who you are, something like that. So true, Kurt. So true. So, yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, everybody. I hope it's been informative. And I'll see you again. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. And goodbye now. Thank you much for watching.